10 most expensive TCPA lawsuit settlements in U.S. history. Let's take a look at the real costs of getting TCPA compliance wrong. In this video, we will talk about the companies that were fined millions of dollars due to incompliance. But first, what are the most common TCPA violations that cause lawsuits? Calling numbers on the National Do Not Call DNC Registry. Using autodialers or pre-recorded messages without prior consent. Texting or calling without express written consent. Ignoring opt-out requests or delays in processing them. Calling reassigned or disconnected numbers. Calling outside allowed hours, typically 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. mobile time. Under the TCPA, consumers can sue for up to $1,500 per violation. Just imagine how much it would be if businesses called thousands of people in every campaign. Without further ado, here are the 10 companies that were fined due to TCPA violations. 1. Assurance IQ, $21.875 million, 2024. Plaintiff claimed that Assurance IQ placed outbound calls promoting insurance services without getting the proper consent from recipients. The company, which offers online quotes for health insurance from multiple providers, chose to settle the matter for $21.875 million without admitting any liability. 2. Citibank, $29.5 million, 2024. The $29.5 million settlement approved in August 2024 applied to individuals who received pre-recorded or artificial voice calls from Citibank from August 15, 2014 to July 31, 2024. These calls were related to overdue credit card accounts and were made to people who were not Citibank customers, cardholders, or authorized users. The lawsuit claimed these calls were placed without proper consent, leading to a significant class action. The numbers are potentially caused by reassigned number. 3. Bank of America, $32.08 million, 2014. During 2014, Bank of America agreed to a $32 million settlement following allegations that it used autodialers and pre-recorded messages to contact consumers about credit card accounts and mortgage loans without proper consent. The case included roughly 7 million individuals who received calls or texts between 2007 and 2013. While the company denied the claims, it settled the case to avoid further litigation. 4. HSBC, $39.98 million, 2014. HSBC reached a $39.98 million settlement to resolve claims that it used autodialers and pre-recorded or artificial voice messages to call consumers' mobile phones without consent. The calls were made between 2008 and 2012, either directly by HSBC or by third parties acting on its behalf. This case is partly a great example of vicarious liability wherein companies get fined for the mistake created by an authorized third-party vendor. 5. AT&T Mobility, $45 million, 2014. AT&T Mobility was fined and agreed for a $45 million settlement after being accused of making auto-dial collection calls to wireless numbers without obtaining prior express consent. The lawsuit claimed that these calls were directed at former customers using phone numbers originally provided during account setup, another case of TCPA due to reassigned numbers. 6. U.S. Coachways, $49.9 million, 2016. U.S. Coachways settled a TCPA class action for $49.90 million after being accused of sending marketing text messages without prior express written consent. The messages were sent to individuals who had previously booked travel or requested quotes, but the text included unrelated promotional content like seasonal deals and rental offers. Although the recipients had shared their phone numbers, the lawsuit claimed that proper written consent was never obtained. With nearly 400,000 messages sent between 2011 and 2014, potential penalties could have been much higher. 7. Dish Network, $61 million, 2017. Dish Network was ordered to pay over $61 million after a jury found it responsible for more than 50,000 telemarketing calls made by its vendor to people listed on the National Do Not Call Registry. The court initially awarded $400 per call in damages, but later tripled the amount to $1,200 per call, citing the company's willful and knowing violations. The class action included individuals who had been on the registry for at least 30 days and received multiple unsolicited calls within a year. This is an example of TCPA vicarious liability. 8. Capital One, $75.5 million, 2014. Capital One and 3 debt collection agencies agreed to a $75.5 million settlement. The lawsuit alleged that the companies made auto-dial debt collection calls to around 21 million mobile phone numbers without obtaining the necessary consent. Capital One contributed most of the settlement while the other agencies added smaller amounts. Again, another example of TCPA vicarious liability. 9. Caribbean Cruise Line, $76 million, 2016. Caribbean Cruise Line and its affiliates agreed to a $76 million settlement after being accused of using pre-recorded voice calls to promote cruise offers without proper consent. A telemarketing company made the calls on behalf of Caribbean Cruise Line, Vacation Ownership Marketing Tours, and Berkeley Group. Again, this is another example of TCPA vicarious liability. 10. ViSalus, $925 million, 2019. Last but not the least, ViSalus faced a staggering $925 million jury verdict in 2019 for violating the TCPA after making nearly 2 million marketing calls between 2014 and 2016. Although the company had originally obtained consent under valid rules at the time, changes to FCC regulations raised the standard for express written consent in 2013. Because ViSalus relied on outdated consent, the calls were found to be unlawful. ViSalus ultimately filed for bankruptcy, marking one of the most devastating outcomes ever tied to a TCPA lawsuit. Common denominators of the TCPA lawsuit. calling without proper consent, using autodialers without consent, calling reassigned numbers, held responsible for third-party violation due to vicarious liability. So what should you do to avoid TCPA violations? Here are some TCPA compliance tools that every business doing telemarketing outreach should have in their systems. State and federal DNC plus TCPA Litigator Scrubber API. Reassigned numbers, database R&D API, time zone checker API. Friendly reminder. TCPA and compliance doesn't have to be complicated. You just need the right process and tools. Review your TCPA compliance process today, and remember we offer free API testing so you can try our TCPA tools with zero commitment. Check the description below for resource links.